This kind of crap is what pisses us off.
MasterChef wouldn't be MasterChef without the creative commentary, be it Gordon's outrageous knee-jerk reactions or Joe Bastianich's deadly silence. But the truth is, Joe is MasterChef's verbal dagger when it comes to a truly terrible dish. And while the talent is fierce on MasterChef, everyone makes mistakes. Joe's quick to the draw, firing off some of MasterChef's most brutal criticism. Perhaps nothing is quite so dreaded as Joe's signature plate drop into the trash can. Ouch! These are Joe's most pissed off moments on MasterChef.
This is a great example of what garbage is. If you're gonna serve us crap like that, then you're really wasting our time.
Slim's ginger.
Go back to your station. I'm not tasting this crap.
Back in Season 1, anything could happen on MasterChef. It was all new, and no one had any idea what to expect. Maybe the biggest surprise was in Episode 8 when contestants had a live crab ingredient for their mystery box challenge. This little crustacean meets a quick death by getting dropped right into a pot of boiling water. But 22-year-old Slim has no idea how to handle her crab.
The crab's live.
Yes, sir.
Right, so you're torturing it now.
Things don't get better for Slim in the elimination challenge. Romance is the theme, and Slim just isn't feeling the love.
I suck at romance. I absolutely do.
The ingredient is passion fruit, of course. This beautiful fruit is a little more rare in a culinary kitchen, but it has a unique, acidic, sweet flavor that Joe loves.
I mean, certainly for creating a romantic dish, there couldn't be a more intriguing ingredient.
But even with this sultry ingredient, Slim still can't find her inner romantic. Her overspiced ginger and passion fruit fondue is a total disaster.
Next up, Slim, please. Thank you.
First, Gordon gives it a taste.
There's a lot of ginger in the sauce, right?
Yes, sir.
And while Gordon doesn't hold back,
If we're on a date and you cook that dish for me, I'd go to the bathroom and you'd never see me again.
it's Joe who's really pissed off.
This is like a buffet gone bad.
After he refuses to taste her dish, he makes quite the statement, throwing the whole thing in the garbage.
You need to be listening to what we're telling you about what we're producing because this is ridiculous.
Not exactly a lovey-dovey moment. It's time for MasterChef to break up with Slim.
What?
I'm done!
The not-so-dynamic duo.
There's hardly any filling in here. It's all dough.
In Season 5, the judges throw a twist at the contestants.
You will be cooking in pairs.
At this point in the challenge, some of the contestants aren't exactly getting along.
Iran and I do not get along together as far as in a kitchen.
Things get more interesting with Christian, who wants nothing to do with Courtney.
Christian, who's the last person you want to cook with?
Courtney.
The trouble for Christian? Since Courtney won the last challenge, she now has a unique edge.
Courtney, there are 14 cooks and you need to separate them into 7 teams.
The teams are off, and if Courtney has her way, there's going to be a huge drama in the kitchen. But the judges are looking at chemistry.
Do you think somebody's going to break off and be the captain, like right away?
You're gonna have a dominant member of each team.
And while Leslie and Iran really hate one another, it's Cutter and Dan who can't find harmony. They can't shop together
I think we're overthinking that.
No, I don't. I think that's what he said. That's exactly what he said.
or cook together.
Why is it cooked then? Guys, are we okay?
The result? Not much.
Dan Wu and Cutter's plate is empty.
The agitated pair presents a pitiful dish of seared venison loin with seared ahi tuna and not much else.
It's possibly one of the worst dishes in this competition so far.
Gordon isn't impressed, and then comes Joe.
You don't have to eat it, really. You don't.
I'm a judge here, so why don't you let me figure out what I have to do and what I don't have to do.
He knows this isn't going to be acceptable already, but what comes next is one of the biggest moments in MasterChef when Joe cuts loose on Cutter. And after that, Joe's silent rage gets the better of him, striding over to his beloved garbage can, letting Cutter.
Do the honors.
Dan and Cutter are sent to the pressure test, where they're back to cooking solo. But being in total control doesn't help Cutter, particularly when it comes to Joe.
I think if you had another teammate, you wouldn't be here right now?
Yes.
Sometimes you don't work that well on your own.
In the end, Cutter gets cut. Astrid's workstation.
This is dangerous. You're gonna fall. You're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hurt me. And I'm just not gonna tolerate it.
The season premiere episode is always full of bright-eyed home cook hopefuls, ready to make their mark on the world. Starting at 30 contestants, you never know just who you're going to encounter in the kitchen. One contestant who's standing out from the start is Astrid.
I'm from Louisiana. This is me on a plate with a little bit of Latina.
And the first competition is off.
The competition begins not at the ranges, but in the pantry.
Their task? to make a signature dish that exemplifies who they are as a cook. As always, the judges love a good twist. This time, it comes down to an extra chance to get that coveted MasterChef apron. The 9 home cooks who didn't get an apron in the initial round now have one more chance to earn their place in the MasterChef kitchen.
We are not giving up on you just yet.
A universal condition in any restaurant is that the kitchen is the limited workspace. Be it a Michelin star establishment or a corner diner, chefs must be skilled at working in tight quarters. That means efficiency, courtesy, and more than anything, hygiene. Maybe someone should have told Astrid.
Does she cook like that at home?
Throwing scraps on the floor is a new one on MasterChef, and it's not something any chef will tolerate. And so, when Joe does his lap around the kitchen, things don't go so well for Astrid.
This is not going to fly. This is disgusting. This is not how you work in restaurants. We're not going to tolerate disgusting working conditions. This is a kitchen. We have sanitary standards.
In the end, Astrid gets off with just a warning.
They warn me about you.
A pretty tame punishment considering Joe's high restaurant standards. Chrissy's catfish fight.
You want to be a smartass? I can be a smartass too. I don't think it's at the level. Well, I'm the one that matters anyway, what I think, so.
Some ingredients are easier to prepare than others, and this Season 8 challenge puts that concept to the test. After contestant Lynn won the Mystery Box Challenge, he got an edge to not only choose the ingredient for the elimination test, but he also got to target one chef of his choosing.
I want to make sure that she is faced with an ingredient that she doesn't deal with a lot.
Lynn decides to go after Chrissy, and he gives her...
Chrissy would struggle more with catfish.
Chrissy puts on a good, tough facade. But when Joe comes to check on her, she's clearly frazzled, and Joe calls her out for playing her dish safe.
I asked you to make an excellent dish. I don't happen to think that this is kind of at the level we're looking at.
The confrontation makes things worse, and as the challenge comes to an end, Chrissy and Joe have bad blood. The tension's there as Chrissy makes her way up to the judges.
You know, the funny thing is Chrissy kept saying how familiar she was with catfish, but it didn't look like it.
It turns out Lynn was right. Chrissy can't deal with the difficult ingredient, and she winds up creating a lackluster catfish dish for the judges.
Looks like a TV dinner.
First, Gordon's disappointed.
Was that intentional? You've left the skin on.
Yes.
Are you cooking for the judges tonight to stay in this competition, or are you cooking for yourself again?
Then it's Joe's turn. He doesn't hesitate. As always, he says exactly what he thinks.
Your catfish tastes like mud. You think you know it all? Then go cook it all yourself at home. Because this defensive no, shut up, just listen to me a second.
Joe was pissed.
You're wasting my time. For me, you're done.
But Chrissy can't let it go.
Fish tastes great. It doesn't taste muddy.
That's when Joe lets her have it.
Hey, Christy, whispering to buddies around you is not going to help you.
I said I knew it.
Have the balls to say it up here in front of me.
But this charade isn't enough to get her sent home.
Daylight come and me don't want to go home.
The scallop basket and the garbage basket.
The rice is undercooked, and the scallops are a joke.
With stiff competition, chefs try to be original as possible. It's not a bad tactic as long as you don't get too cute. Trying too hard is a classic MasterChef downfall after all. Maybe the most important thing to consider when cooking is the heat. It's not a good idea to set the kitchen on fire, for example.
Fire. Stand back. Just stand back. So does... I got it.
Not a great beginning to the day. Helene is never able to fully shake it off. Next up is the elimination challenge. The stakes are particularly high because the theme is difficult dishes.
The dish that Felix chose was a stunning risotto.
The classically challenging risotto proves to be a big task for many of the contestants. Helene is among them.
Wow. What is that?
Perhaps to compensate for the undercooked risotto dish, Helene creates burdock root baskets carrying scallops. This original idea is maybe too original. In short, it doesn't work. First, Gordon gives his verdict.
It's definitely undercooked. A basket. Oh, God, I could scream. The scallops are still raw.
If he hadn't knocked Helene down enough, it was Joe's turn to really twist that painful knife into poor Helene.
We're not fooling around here. We're looking for specific things. It's not a game, and you're not here to waste our time.
This is one of Joe's most annoyed moments, as he lectures the other home cooks on what's expected of them. Another signature Joe trash toss.
Scallop basket. Go in the garbage basket.
There are no good baskets on MasterChef when Joe Bastianich is a judge.
I already got it.
Trouble with the underpork belly.
What do you know about German sauces and German cuisine? This is a freaking disaster.
Winning the Mystery Box Challenge gives a huge edge on MasterChef. In Season 2, Adrian gets to choose which part of the pig each player must prepare.
I'd say the pork belly or the pork cheeks.
Pork is beloved by many a chef, and when a challenge requires use of the pig, most contestants get excited. And with good reason. Pork is a flavorful, versatile meat. But not all parts are as easy to cook, and Adrian is very strategic in his assignments.
Susie, Christian, myself, or Christina will probably have the greatest chances of going home based on the cuts of meat we have.
He does a good job. Susie is not thrilled when she finds out her cut is one of the most difficult to prepare, pork belly.
I'm not happy that I have to cook pork belly in 1 hour. Not at all.
As one of the top competitors on the show, Susie seems up for the challenge, but it quickly becomes clear that this isn't going to be easy. By time's up, Susie isn't feeling good about her challenging cut.
I definitely know that I don't have the top dish, but I'm really hoping Christine's dish is worse than mine.
But Susie's hopes fall when Christine has a great dish.
It's wonderful. It works perfectly with the meat.
And Susie's was as terrible as Christine's was delicious. It was bad, really bad.
Quite possibly the worst sauce I've ever tasted.
Susie's glazed pork belly with braised cabbage, spätzle, and gravy was a mess. Joe absolutely wasn't tolerating this utter disaster.
This show is called MasterChef, not Delusional Chef.
Once again, cook what you know and not what you don't. Otherwise, you'll get Joe Bastianich spitting your food into a napkin.
Ugh.
Lynn's dessert puddles.
They raise you up so high, and then you fall.
Desserts are an exact science, but as a master chef, the contestants need to be skilled all around. Here's where even the best of chefs can make critical errors. It's a great way to really test a home cook's mettle, and in this Season 4 episode, the judges got to see who can walk the master chef walk. For this elimination challenge, the cream rises to the top as the cooks put on their pastry hats. As expected, one of the best chefs had a tough time going from savory to sweet.
No cream.
No cream.
Jelly.
I was going to try doing milk jelly, but it's not setting the way I want it to.
No,
It's
unless
setting
it's
the way I
broken.
wanted it.
The judges are talking, which is not a good situation for Lynn.
Two individuals that I'm seriously nervous about. So the first one is Lynn, because his pavlova has just gone to crap. I mean, it's just nothing's coming together.
It doesn't get better. Getting called up, it's clear Lynn knows he's in the hot seat.
The one that everyone wants to beat, the king of plating. Lynn, let's go.
Don't say that.
Lynn presents his dish timidly, and it's truly a painful moment.
You serious? Did you drive over it?
Even he is at a loss for words. It's no surprise that when Joe gets his turn,
We're gonna eat it?
What is that?
You know this is elimination, right?
he slaughters Lynn for presenting him with such a terrible dish.
Unbelievable. Might be a memento for you to take home.
After performing his biggest insult, the Joe Bastianich trash can dump, Joe turns away from Lynn, totally pissed off.
You're making me angry. Oh, am I?
Tally's Arctic char.
On him, you got a piece of fatty, nasty-looking bacon on top of some poorly conceived cooked Arctic char.
In Season 3, the elimination challenge took an ugly turn when it came to serving up the perfect fish. Fish is one of those ingredients that can sing or sink, and it's all about knowing how to prepare your ingredients. There's truly nothing worse than badly executed fish. And so, when Felix gets to assign her competitors each with a different fish, she gets strategic.
So which fish do you give the weakest person?
The Arctic char. It could be his downfall.
Her strategy pays off, sending Tally into a frenzy over his seemingly easy Arctic char.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm gonna sous vide this fish.
Sous vide it?
Yeah.
It's an oily fish.
Yeah.
Why would you sous vide that?
He's so sweet and delicate that the fish is going to speak for itself.
Good luck.
Sometimes, though, a task that's too easy causes chefs to lose creativity with their cuisine. With Tally, this is definitely the case. Joe is not impressed, and the dish hasn't even been completed yet.
The Arctic char is certainly the easiest fish here today. You could steam it, grill it, saute it. It's always going to be buttery and perfect.
But Tally isn't really getting the message. The competition is getting smaller and smaller, and so Tally really needs to figure out his dish. When Joe calls him forward, he's already disappointed. Can Tally recover?
I wanted to sous vide my fish today so I can kind of produce a...
You think you're going to impress us with things like sous vide, emulsify?
Nope. Joe's at him before he's even taken a bite. His takedown of Tally's food, without even tasting it, is brutal. But this isn't the first time that Tally's under-delivered.
You've consistently disappointed us.
In the end, Joe just isn't dealing with bad food. When he finally takes that bite, you can totally feel Tally's pain. Joe's not keeping this chef around, that's for sure.
It's terrible!
Not sashimi.
Your station looks like a disaster.
There are a lot of things that can go wrong with food. Nothing is as predictable as how long a piece of fish or meat will need to cook perfectly. It's one of the hardest parts of being a chef. But to be a master chef, you have to get it right. Unfortunately, in this episode, someone got it wrong, and Joe was pissed. This mystery box challenge asked chefs to cook a black cod dish. Everyone's excited, and Gordon even cooks along with the master chefs. So Joe makes his rounds to see what everyone's cooking up. An hour goes by in no time, but when time's up, people are feeling good. The judges take their usual walk around to identify the 3 dishes they'd like to try. But this time, there's a major hiccup.
One dish stood out as appalling. One home cook plated raw fish.
This massive mistake will not go unpunished. You can bet on that. The judges call up Howard to make him present his raw fish.
Even without tasting it, you know immediately it's raw.
Joe is not happy. As Joe strides to the plate, Howard knows he's in hot water. The big show that Joe puts on is not subtle, and tensions rise as he presents this utterly unacceptable dish to the chefs. And, as always, pissed off Joe slams the dish into the trash can. This is what not to do on MasterChef, folks. Howard's End.
The whole thing with you is you have this very cavalier attitude. Don't know what you're cooking.
Howard might have made it through the raw fish flop, but he wasn't out of the woods with Joe yet. In episode 9 of season 4, the theme was stuffed pasta, and to help prepare the difficult agnolotti, they had a guest very close to Joe Bastianich's heart. The most important challenge to Joe had to be when his mother, the famous Lydia Bastianich, came to guest judge. The battle is Italian, which is the Bastianich heritage and culinary expertise. Making the perfect agnolotti isn't easy, but the pressure is really on when it comes to hotwire Joe and his mother, 2 of the world's experts on this dish. Contestants feel the pressure to bring it home.
I wanted to put my own twist on the pasta dish that Joe's mom showed us how to make today.
There are some critical errors to avoid.
The rolling part is very touchy. If it's very fine, then it breaks.
Joe and Lydia make their rounds to Howard.
What do you think about putting bell peppers in the stuffing?
It's really unusual, yeah.
It looks like Howard's twist isn't hitting the mark. The moment of truth comes when Lydia brings him forward to present.
What I got here is a mouthful of peppers.
Unfortunately for Howard, Lydia wasn't impressed. But it's Joe who slams into him like never before, in one of MasterChef history's most talked about moments.
The fact that you're not even thinking of playing this game properly is really annoying.
This time, it's personal, not just about the food. But Howard fires back.
You want 15 of the same dishes up here?
Uh-oh, do not mess with Joe. And with that, the dish goes in the trash. Needless to say, Howard is out.
I'm out.
So there you have it, Joe Bastianich's most pissed off moments on MasterChef. If you want to see more videos like this, click or tap that subscribe button, and in order to become a trusted Babble Topper, be sure to ding the bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Thanks for watching!